senior mass communication major from Dallas, Texas / Baton Rouge, depending on the day. My pronouns are she, her, and I identify as a heterosexual cisgendered woman. And anyway, enough about me. Let's get into it. So for this episode, we're going to be talking about the LGBTQ plus community from a Gen Z perspective, a Gen Z lens. And stay tuned because within 30 minutes of our show, we're going to have a live Q&A with our special guest, who are we going to introduce right now. So let's go ahead and start from the couch on our way up. Just, tell them where you're from, who you are, anything special about you, make it your own.
Hi everyone, my name is Skylar Stevens. I am a sophomore mass communication major. I am a lesbian woman and my pronouns are she, her, from Canton, Ohio.
Hello everybody, my name is Khari Muhammad. I am one of the freshman senators here at Xavier. I am from Chicago. I'm a bisexual black man here in America, and my zodiac is Aquarius.
Hey everybody, my name is Jaylan. I'm from the south side of Atlanta. My pronouns are they, them. I'm a lesbian, and I'm a Cancer.
Hey y'all, my name is Taylor. I'm Nola, born and raised. I'm a senior psychology major. I am a bisexual black woman and cisgendered, and my pronouns are she, her, and my zodiac is a Virgo. Not too much.
Hey, I am Ken Jones. I am a sophomore robotics and mechatronics major. I am from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm an Aries. Yay. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a lesbian woman.
All right, so with that being said, let's get into our first question that I'm dying to know about. So, as we know, guys, Gen Z is, dubbed as the generation that knows everything. We categorize everything. We're just, that obnoxious new generation, I guess. So, with that being said, how do y'all feel about labels? Like, when it comes to identity and sexuality, there's a debate about it. Some like them, some don't. What do y'all feel? Whoever wants to go first, go ahead and jump in.
I'll go first, I guess. I do think that labels do give, a sense of community. So, with the whole, are you a lesbian, or are you gay, are you pansexual or asexual, I do think that makes people not feel alone. They're, not the only, they're not the only person that is like that. And I think, when I was younger, I was, trying to figure out what I fit into. Now that I'm a little older, I don't really care anymore about the whole labels thing, especially within the lesbian community, stud, stem, femme, please. Who cares? We just all girls kissing girls. I'm not denouncing because some people find security in, being a stud, or find security in, being a femme or whatever. So, I just think it's to each his own. If you want to be labeled, throw a label on there. And if there are people who don't want those labels, respect those people too. Because, I'm not when people be like, oh, you're a stud. Who said that? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I just to each his own.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that part about we're reaching a point in time where labels are starting to be seen as more of a construct, and that's what they are. Their labels are a construct to help us feel secure or safe or be able to connect with others. And so I feel like we as a generation are shifting into a place of not wanting to have a label of it, that just being the normative. Probably not normative, I'll say, but that just being a normal thing. It's a regular thing in society, and I like that we're progressing to that part, because me growing up, labels, I was always looking for a label to put on my back, even though I didn't need one. I didn't know that labels carried both positive and negative tones to it. So it was difficult to always search for one, but as I'm older now, I'm like, I don't, why label myself? Everything is on a spectrum. Everything is different. Every individual is a individual with a sovereign mind, sovereign body. So what I do is not the same as what somebody else does. What I go through is not what somebody else has been through. So yeah.
That's how I feel too. I feel like initially labels were like a calm from the store, because for me personally growing up, I was in denial about liking girls. I was just like, occasionally, I like to hug a girl. I like to be close to one. But, like, it's not that deep, though. Like, I was like, it's all good. So, like, once I was securing it, it was, like, something I could claim my own. And it gave me, like, a sort of autonomy over myself and my identity and who I was. And I was like, yeah, I'm bisexual. Like, I like girls. Like, that was, like, what I like to do. But now, like Jaylan said, growing up, it just feels like, why attach a label to something when it just is what it is? Like, I like girls. That's just what it is. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It doesn't have to be blown up. And I feel like if we start removing ourselves from the labels a little bit more, it will help us to normalize it and just be like, there are gay relationships, and that's okay.
I'd also agree with this. I feel like with labels, it has something really to do with us coming into ourselves early on. Like, once you start being able to label what you are and label what you feel, that's you being like, I'm claiming that I'm understanding who I am now. And so once people are very confident in who they are, I feel like that's when the labels become kind of unneeded in our lives. Like, at the point where I am, I started early on knowing, oh, I like girls, I'm cool with that, I know I'm a lesbian, I know I'm gay, all that good stuff. And I feel like once people become comfortable with that, it's just like, I don't need to keep saying, oh, I'm gay, or I'm this, or like she was saying, oh, I'm a stud, I'm a femme. Like, it's just, I am. And I feel like labels is where we start at, because that's where we feel safe at, because we know we have that community. And then once we start reaching out further to who we are, we won't need to label ourselves.
I think that people try to put a label on everything because that's what we're used to and that's what we're taught and that's what makes others feel comfortable. But personally, I feel like no two people are the same. Like, you can't put us in a box, so there's no need to label it. Like, at a young age, I knew that I liked women. That's what I liked, but I didn't label myself. Like, all throughout middle school, it was just I like women, and people were constantly pressuring me, oh, so you're bisexual, oh, so you're lesbian, so you're this. And no, it was just, I just like what I like women, and that's it, because I was still growing and figuring out myself. So I didn't want to label myself at a young age. I'm still trying to figure out what these things are. I don't want to have to commit to it. It's like when you get to college and you don't know what major you are. You're undecided. I was still figuring that out for myself.
And that kind of makes me think about, how do y'all go about addressing the older generation? Because especially, I guess, those that want to learn but don't know how to go about it. How do y'all kind of walk them through, labels versus no labels, to try to help them wrap their mind, around it?
I'm gonna say it right now. It ain't no walking to Seriously. It's not about just getting them to understand your point of view. It's also about understanding theirs and where they grew up. They grew up in a time where that wasn't acceptable. They grew up at a time where kids who were like that were bullied, beaten, harassed, etc., etc. So it's trying to get them to understand. Like, for my mom, that was what a big thing for her was safety. It was not even sexual safety, it was physical safety, about her worrying about me. At first being a black man, a black young kid, to now a kid immersing in myself into a different lifestyle is what she would say. But it's kind of like getting them to understand that you are aware. I'm aware of these things. I had to tell her multiple times. I've thought about these things since I was a kid. Like, since I was in elementary, I've thought about these things, because that's where I was coming into the realization. And I knew that there came obstacles with putting that label on myself or coming out and everything. So it was getting them to understand your point of view, understanding theirs as where they grew up, and actually finding that connection to where I understand you as a parent want to care for me, but I need you as a parent to also care for what I love.
Yeah. So from my own personal experience, it is definitely a long journey, and of just like being able, because like being a part of like this community, there are like a lot of labels, a lot of stuff that you need to know. And so as a person, me personally, I'm still learning about certain things, and to be able to teach that to like family, to really educate them about how who I am as a person, that also comes with a lot of stresses. And so when I was younger, when I came out to my family, I went head first. It was because like the way I was raised, my mom was like, and pardon my French, she was like, don't pussyfoot, just tell me straight out. Like she was like, if you got something to say, you say it, and we gonna move on from there. Right. So I was like, one night I was just like, okay, I'm gay. I took her out to dinner and we did that. And that was where like the journey started of, okay, well, did something happen? They always have that first question of, did something make you this way? And it's like, no, this is where I was always this way. I'm just letting you know. And then it becomes, well, are you doing safe things? Are you like telling me this because you want to meet you're meeting somebody? Like, what is this? And it's always going to be like, they don't know this. So you have to really educate them on safety. You have to educate yourself on safety. And it's just like, you got to be able to really communicate these things. Like, really open yourself up to teaching them and informing them about these things.
Yeah, especially because, you know, the older generation they went through, you know, some different things that we don't experience as much. So when it just came to me trying to educate my family, and they're religious, as are, you know, most of our families, Southern Black Baptists. That's just how it goes. But when it came to me coming out, in my nuclear family, it's like my big three, I call them, is my mom, my aunt, and my grandma. So when it was me coming out, it was really essential that, you know, if I'm gonna tell my mom, like, those three know, I don't care about who else knows. Like, I haven't really, you know, expressed it to the rest of my family because I don't care to. It's not their business, and they see it. But when it came to those three, I did want to vocalize it to them. And it really is just about finding the connection and just building a bridge between our two different generations. When it comes to my grandma is a boomer. So we're actually really able to find connections when it comes to, like, me being gay and her growing up even before, you know, civil rights and everything. And she says all the time, gay people have always been around. Like, there's never been a time where she didn't know somebody that was gay, but now it's just on a much larger scale. So it's not that it's so many more gay people popping up. It's always been the same exact number of gay people. Like, that's what everyone fails to realize. It's just now that people feel a lot more comfortable about saying it and telling other people. So you just really have to find those connections, because I'm still, you know, explaining the whole they them thing to my mom. And she's a English buff, so she just can't get with it. She's like, they means a whole bunch of people. Like, girl, no it don't, because when you don't know somebody's gender, you say they. When you don't know if the delivery person who just dropped off your package is a man or a woman, you say, oh, the delivery driver just dropped off your package. They knocked on the door before they left. So that's not true. Like, everyone is used they, them to identify a single person in their life. So it's just about forcing them to understand that, and just not tiptoeing about it. You know, just be strong and confident in who you are, and if you don't have the answers for something, lead them to the answers. Like, I don't know everything about everything gay in life. Like, I just don't. So I'm able to be like, Mom, well, I don't really know about that. Like, she came to me one time about neo-pronouns. Babes, I don't know. I'm gay, but I ain't got over there yet. So I was just like, you gonna have to look that one up. Maybe I can give you a YouTube video or something. So yeah, it's just, you know, just gotta find that connection with them. Explain it in ways that they may understand, using examples that they'll understand, and if they don't want to get it, leave them in the dust.
Right.
Kick them to the curb.
And you know, you brought up a good point about, I guess, when it comes to the reasons why we see more representation now. I think it's because of social media. And now that we're the generation of social media, I mean, what does the community look like? Like, what is the representation that y'all see on social media, or how do y'all interpret it?
It can be both harmful and progressive. It depends on it, but it really depends, because through social media, with the gay community, unfortunately, at a young age, sometimes you're pushed into hookup culture through social media, and that bloomed through social medias like Kik, Instagram, Twitter, etc. So I feel like that can be harmful to the community, and that's what really depicts us as the type of people who are there for sex and all that, or guys who are too quick, or women who are too quick. That's not the case. That really isn't how social media plays into like our daily lives, nor does that depict our daily lives. But I do like that social media is bringing out more, showing lifestyles of your gay couples, your interracial couples, your bisexual couples, and everything, and proving that there is a connection, there is a peace between these relationships. You know, with black women and bi men, there is a disconnect. So to see that there are relationships that exist on social media, on TikTok, on Facebook and all that, it's nice to see that there is a world that exists, and it's not all just gray clouds, if that makes sense.
I think social media is a double-edged sword, for sure. I think there's some good. I think there's some bad. I think when it comes to social media and how the queer community is portrayed, or I won't even say just social media, just through media, period, it can sometimes like just be really stereotypical. Like a lot of times when I'm watching, like, rarely, which is very rarely, you're watching lesbian couples on screen. It's not a lot of them. They're always gonna, number one, they're always gonna be white. And it's always gonna be like a butch and a femme. Like, that's really it, you know what I'm saying? So I do think social media has opened up opened up an area for more representation, because now you're able to see, like, okay, two masculine women together, or two feminine women together, or like you said, a black woman with a bisexual man, because there is a disconnect there. I do think that social media has raised, now it's more chatter. Everything is conversation. Like, we were never supposed to know this much about each other to begin with. So some of these conversations literally should not be happening, because we shouldn't know certain things about people. But that's just the way of the world now. So I think there's, like you said, there's some good, there's some bad, there's some things we can work on, there's some things that are just always going to be there, because that's just what social media is.
Yeah, I just feel like to an extent it's restrictive because of who's controlling the narrative. Like, when we look at who's the predominant voice on social media, it's not people who look like us and have our life experiences. So when they're outsiders coming in, viewing our spaces, they're now caricaturizing the different aspects of our community. Like, the takeover of AAVE and black gay culture, the way that has been, like, spitballed into Gen Z culture.
And TikTok.
Yes, and the way that people just feel comfortable just taking different aspects of what made our community feel safe. Like, it's not a costume for people to put on, and I feel like on social media it starts becoming like this mask that people think will give them more clout or notoriety on social media. So
Especially queer baiting.
Yeah,
I feel like, well, actually, first, can you clarify what queer baiting means for those that don't know?
For those that don't know, queer, I don't want to say that this is the exact definition, but it's basically using a brand or your own, I want to say, platform as a way to say that you down with the community, or you hint at that you do this and that you kind of want to put yourself in this area that you rock with LGBT, but you don't say it. You never say it. You never clarify anything. It's, what can I give an example of?
Billie Eilish.
Harry Styles.
So, like, I like the representation on social media we can get. Like, it's new. Like, I see a lot of people that are like me, which I like to see it. My problem with it is, I feel like they're trying to use our sexuality as a trend, and it's not a trend. People are on social media like, I guess being gay is in, or being queer is in. That's not how it works. It's a lifestyle. I wake up every day, I'm like this every day. When the trend ends, I'm still going to be a gay black woman. So there are like people who are in TikTok comments and they see a pretty gay woman, they're like, oh, maybe I'm gay now, or there's nothing wrong.
Relationship's not that serious.
Yeah, like there's nothing wrong with exploring your sexuality, but again, I'm a lesbian woman, I know that, so I'm going to like I'm dating other women. So if you're in my comments and you're saying, oh, like I want to be with you, or maybe I'm gay, I don't appreciate that because this is actually my lifestyle, and you are trying to joke. And right, you're wasting my time. I'm looking for a real girlfriend. You looking for a fake girlfriend that ain't nothing fake over here. Like, yeah, I don't like that.
And to go back to the whole like the queer baiting stuff, I feel like when you have certain people who are just doing this because they feel like, oh, I'm gonna get notoriety if I look like a certain way, I'm gonna get this community on my side, and y'all aren't doing anything for the community. Y'all don't really know how it is to live like us. You maybe get like the one off comment in your comment section, but we may get that comment every day of our lives. And at that point, it's like, why do you feel to do this? And it also draws back to like certain negative things that come back to us, because you may do something and they're like, oh, some people like that. That's that whole community, but you're not even a part of that community, and you're negatively affecting us. You're putting other people off our side, but you're not even on our side. You're not even in our community. You don't even help us, and all you're doing is bringing us down. I feel like there are certain drawbacks to social media, and people just don't care about that because they're like, it doesn't affect me any, and I feel like that's harmful for a lot of people.
So I mean, how do y'all determine who's down and who isn't down? You know, like you go around and be like, this is the checklist. Let me see if you mark everything off. You know, like how does that work? How do you know who to trust? How do you know who to not? You know, patience, things like that. How do y'all go about that?
You gotta look at the cuff pants. You gotta look at the Converse combo, you know.
It's the symptoms.
You got a right piercing combo, you know. It's no, but it's.
If I'm looking at you, you got the same piercings I got. I'm like,
Okay. Yeah.
It be the bees. I be wearing a lot of bees. Like, I got the bees on my waist. I be having, look, I normally got the bees on my waist.
It's not the bees. It's the lanyard in the pocket. You know, you gotta have it hanging out properly.
Yeah.
Frank Ocean, that's what I'm saying.
Or like hair colors, like your hair pink, blue, green.
Okay. Yeah.
I
see what's going on here.
Colorful hair.
Yeah.
But really, it's really about how you. It's really you gotta fill them out. Obviously, it's how you meet any regular person. You really just gotta meet their personality and listen to what they say. Cause some people, they think that you ain't listening to what they saying or how they acting, but you are, and you're like, oh, I know the real you. Cause in the background, you're calling me a slur, and I don't really like that, and so I know you're not really with it. Like, it's certain things that pop out at certain moments, and you're like, okay, I understand the real you now.
Definitely the moments where you have like a lot of cishet guys, like even though it's something small, but it's like, oh no, that's gay, man.
That shit's zesty. What do y'all know about it?
If you know so much, I'm putting you in the box with me. that means you're awesome. But hey, I'm not. Don't you be
People always end up showing their true colors though, like especially when it comes to, because people will be like, oh yeah, I'm a queer ally, and then they'll draw the line somewhere. Like they'll draw the line at, you know, they're cool with anybody being gay, but when it comes to trans issues, they like, oh, like I don't like, what do you mean? You're like, you don't get to pick and choose what you do and do not rock with in the queer community. Like this isn't something you can just like up and decide one day, because you know there have been friends, or what I thought was friends that I've had that were, you know, it was cool for me to be gay, but when it came to, you know, a transgender person coming in the bathroom with us, they were like, they need to use the bathroom that, you know, that goes with there, and I'm like, like, what are we talking about right now? Like, how you cool with me and not? Yeah, like, where's the disconnect really happening at? So, like, for me, that's somebody that you're like, I'm like, no, just because it doesn't necessarily apply to me. Like, it's still a whole community if you feel like that about, about the trans community, how do you really, really feel about all the other people in the queer community?
It also comes out socially, like people who like to be queer for fun when they're like drunk or under the influence, and then when you circle back, you like, hey, like what's that? We was vibing. They're like, oh no, like I just do that for kicks. I'd be like,
Gay for play.
When you get drunk at a party,
but when I
see you on Monday and I'm like,
You doing
that? I'm like, well, can I get your number or something? You like, oh, that's not my deal. I don't. Yeah, like I don't. You don't want to.
So that kind of reminds me, like when you were saying picking and choosing. I thought about how when it comes to Black Lives Matter and how like in the Black community, like people will be like, oh yeah, Black Lives Matter, and then we talk about Black trans people or we talk about Black gay people, and it's quiet. I mean, what is y'all standpoint on that?
You can't pick and choose which Black Lives Matter. If you're gonna be Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, make sure it applies to all Black lives. So that's Black women, that's Black men, that's gay Black people, that's lesbian Black people, that's trans Black people. If you're going to support them, you're going to support all of them, or else you're not really Black Lives Matter. You're not with it.
Yeah, you can't be pro-Black and be homophobic or transphobic because there are Black people in all of those categories. That's something that's different about us than the world, is that we have a very unique experience as Black Americans, and as Black Americans we've experienced something that so many people have not, and so because we've had that experience, we should be sympathetic to all marginalized groups. That's gay people, disabled people, you know what I mean? So you don't get to be like, oh, power to the people, but like you leave disabled Black people out of things, or you leave, gay and trans Black people out of things. That's one of those things where two things can't be true at once. Like if you pro-Black, you really got to be pro all Black people.
People forget intersectionality exists. Like we are not just like, oh, I'm a Black person and I'm leaving it at that. No, I am a Black person who also loves women. So at that point, you got to support all of that is encased in this Black body. And at that point, you got to really understand that supporting Black people is not just supporting your view of Black people. It is all views of Black people. And I feel like, well, why would you say this? Like, you don't hate you don't like all Black people. So are you really pro-Black people? And it's just kind of weird to me that people are like picking and choosing who's the Black people they can support. There are like a lot of hate crimes against trans Black women in America, and people are like, oh well, they're trans. I don't know if we want to bring awareness to that. I'm just like, you don't want to bring awareness to the many crimes against Black trans women in America, but let it be. And I'm not saying this is a good thing. Let it be a Black woman that got hate crime at a nail salon. You're like, okay, well, she's great. I feel like you got to support. You got to really bring awareness to all of this that's happening, because you're not stopping anything. You're still hurting all these Black lives.
And the pro-Black movement a lot of times wants you to pick or choose one thing. Like, you're more Black than you are gay, and it's like that. Like, why should I have to choose? Like, I wake up just as gay as I am Black every single day. Like, both things are me. So I shouldn't have to choose between which one I want to be or which cause I want to stand up for, because they both go with me. Like, I'm a part of both communities.
And when you mentioned intersectionality, first, can you clarify that? But also, do y'all believe there's a hierarchy of, people that identify as certain things, or their race, and, all together? Do you believe that it exists?
So intersectionality is when you have a cross between multiple identities. Like, you are multiple things at once. I am Black, I am gay, I am a woman, I am all these other things at once. There is no hierarchy in these things. You are all of this at one time. And so there is no one thing above the other. You do not choose to be Black before you are gay. You do not choose to be a woman before you are Black. You are this at that time. And I feel like you can't just pick and choose what you want to be to help fit a better narrative.
It's like the whole concept of intersectionality is that all of these identities are interacting to create your own unique experience, and that when you look at who you are, when you break down these identities, it impacts your life socially, politically, economically, etc. So I can't, like what we were talking about earlier, I can't remove my blackness just because I'm bisexual, or I can't remove my womanhood just because I'm black. I'm always going to be all of these things at one time. So it's impossible for it to be a hierarchy when they all coexist at the same time.
All right, so on that note, we are going to start our Q&A. So we have a bowl of some questions that the team has asked and some of the audience members. So what we're going to do is we are going to pass the bowl around. Everyone's going to pick a question, and we'll do it, like maybe 3 or 4 rounds. So these questions are supposed to be funny, maybe. Let's see, maybe controversial. Let's find out. So let's go ahead and start with Sky. Let's see what we get.
I hope y'all ain't ask nothing crazy.
All right, just say the question out loud and your response.
Have you had conversations with or about white queer people not understanding them still having white privilege while being queer?
No, that's a really
This is for the group. You can start first, and everyone can chime in if y'all want. I'm thinking about it. Go ahead, group.
I would just look. Yeah, like when it comes to, they are really 2 different communities. That white queer community and the black queer community, it's really not the same. Like our experience and their experience is just totally different. And you'll talk to some white queer people who are like the ones who are like trying to fight all the causes, and they'll be like, well, something happens to me too. People do things to me too. Okay, like they are gonna do stuff to all of us, like, but mine a little different. Like, it is different being black, whether it's a geographical thing, like being in the South specifically, and being gay is very different from your experience if you live in the North. So I just think it's very different, and they try to make it the same thing, like we're all gay.
It's like when a white person tries to say, well, I have black friends, they try and use that in their identity. Well, I'm gay too.
Right.
Not the same. I'm a black person, you have black friends, we are not the same.
Right.
It's not the same.
They try to really create that connection, Well, yes, we are all part of the LGBT community. However, there is some things that just kind of differentiate us, and that's all right. We can still be a community. We're just a little more space in that community, But they're like, oh no, we are all the same. You have no issue that I don't have. If you will never have an issue I don't got. And I'm just like, no.
Honestly, the one thing I hate the most about it is like when they try to take our terms.
Yes.
DL, stud, like
See
literally.
the white girl the other day call herself a stud. Is the stud in the room with them?
And it's also like
y'all don't understand that we as a black, this is also AEP. Like, this is ours. Like, you can't just call you. First off, you calling yourself DL takes away DL.
Down low is very high.
So let's just say that for one. Two, it doesn't fit you. Like, this is where like it comes into where that differential like relationship between the black community and the gay community versus the white community and the gay community. Yeah. We have different experiences. We still set up different terms to make ourselves feel secure. Not for y'all. Y'all don't have nothing to feel secure about.
This takes away some of the security in it,
Exactly.
When I first became secure in myself, I was like, oh, I identified as a stud, and I'm becoming better in myself. That was one of the first things I did. Like, identifying myself as a stud was like, okay, I'm becoming comfortable with my body and my clothes and everything that I'm doing. But then I see a white queer person in a dress that I never could have saw myself wearing, and then like, I'm a stud today. I'm gonna be a stud tomorrow. I'm like, it took me so long to just become comfortable in my own body and clothes, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna take all that process away and strip that identity of what it meant to you. And I'm just like, no.
Not even just that, but have y'all talked to like a white gay man who was very flamboyant, and he thought that his flamboyancy made him so oppressed, and he was like I just can't turn this off. Like I'm like, friend, you know good and well that if you turn that off and you went outside in the supermarket, they would not know better than anybody else.
Yeah, they strip the history from it a lot of times, because a lot of these terms and stuff didn't just come about just because they came from somewhere. So for those to take those terms and mannerisms and all of that, that's just like white queers trying to integrate themselves into a ballroom. I mean, everyone can feel how they feel about it. Yes, it's supposed to be a diverse space. Whatever. At the end of the day, I just feel like it's just it was made by black people for black people. And if you get an invitation to it, kudos to you. And if you don't, be okay with that. Like, that's not that's a space where if you're invited in the space, okay, we rock with you. Right. But if you aren't invited into that space, like, don't cry over spilled milk, because it's not yours in the first place.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're gonna do another question. Now we have time, we don't. But we'll do one more question.
I'm sorry.
No, y'all got it.
How do you feel about companies profiting off of pride?
Ooh, these questions are good.
It's nothing like a good logging in on July, right?
June, Pride Month.
At 12 o'clock.
Don't add me on that, y'all.
Don't add me
Are
on
we
that.
bad gays?
Pride Month is no Pride Month
It's every day for me.
Okay, but let's say that.
Okay.
I love waking up.
They don't know Pride Month.
And seeing all the
Companies with the rainbows and all that in their profile pictures.
it's nothing like a good faking your support. Cause guaranteed once June is over,
July 1st. Like, July 1st at 12 o'clock a.m. Fine. Y'all didn't waste no time.
T-Mobile would change it at 11:30 the night before.
honestly,
They're like the
Instagram
professor.
had the rainbow logo for a while, and then after you got the update and it's gone.
They'd be like, okay, enough allyship. It was all a lie. It's all very performative. They know what they're doing.
I think it's just queer baiting on a corporate level. That's what it is to me. It's trying to get the community to understand that you support, but guarantee the people at your headquarters probably don't. Guarantee the people on your
Teams probably don't. Guarantee the money you making off of other people, they don't. So it's hard to
sit here and look at a company and be like, oh, I feel the love, feel the support, I feel this and that. No, they just making money. They just there to make money. They throw out some stuff in Walmart, put them on the shelves. They might do a little sale on Xbox a little bit. Hey, I still buy the game though. But hey,
but I mean, it's just a
corporate form of just trying to fake it till you make it.
So I just want to ask, I guess to put this whole conversation into perspective, is that what do you feel like our audience should know about the queer LGBTQ plus community? Like, what takeaway do you want them to know, or what advice do you have for people who are outsiders or for people who are discovering themselves?
First thing that I want to say is, if you're coming into it and you're discovering yourself, do it. Like, educate yourself properly. Go to like the proper sources and do it safely. It's like a big thing with certain communities and people. They didn't have like that proper resource. Like, up until my junior year of high school, we didn't have a GSA in my school. So before that, it was just kind of like, go what you want to. And at that point, it's very dangerous for kids, because like, you're just reaching out to whoever and hoping that it's a proper person to guide you. And that's where like certain hookup cultures can come from. Unsafety, like, you just really got to be safe about yourself.
I think what I would tell people that are like either coming into college or that are just young adults trying to figure it out is just take your time, wait it out. Like, I never thought I would be who I am today when I was in middle school or high school. Like, I could have never imagined that I would look like this or love looking like this and, you know, just be so confident in myself. You just really do have to learn you. And once you learn you, you know, everything just really does fall into place. And once you're learning you figure out who you are and you stay true, it will all fall into place. You won't have to worry so much about this and that. And then once you're confident in yourself, can't nobody tell you nothing, for real. Like, that's family, that's friends, like, this my life. You know, once you really do get to a point of you know, being 100 in yourself, can't nobody really tell you nothing. So, you know, if you worried about coming out or how's my family gonna accept it, once you accept it, all them other people, it don't really matter. Like, you know, you'll catch them on the flip side, for real.
Yeah. Any more last words?
I would say,
Something to take in to those who are trying to figure themselves out or trying to
at least understand. I would say that it's about being 100% okay with yourself, and it's not about your other people's opinions. It's not about your friends, because as a kid I was always worried about, oh, what will my friends think, what will my parents think, yada yada, this and that. It's not about that. It's about feeling 100% comfortable in being you, being your voice, not regretting what you feel, what you like, what you're attracted to, and that's
okay. It's completely okay. Like you said, people will fall behind if they are willing to be on that train with you. Like,
as in support. But if not, then you're there for yourself. At the end of the day, nobody knows yourself better than you. Who's in your mind 100%, overthinking every single action you take? You, not your parents. They might be in a little voice in the back of your head. I know they mind. But it's always going to be 100% you and yourself at the end of the day. And you decide how your life goes, and you control how you want to be seen.
Period.
Some advice that I would give when trying to explore your sexuality, that's perfectly fine. But when you're trying to pursue someone who's already confident in their sexuality, make sure you're expressing that you're exploring your sexuality, because everyone is not comfortable with being your experiment.
If you're doubting yourself, don't doubt yourself. You like girls, you like boys, do what you want to do. That's what I would say. Because you know it deep down in your heart, you just scared of the truth. And there's no truth to be scared of.
Straight like that. All right, well, y'all heard it here first, so thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in for our episode 1 of season 3 of Adulteen. Stay tuned for more episodes coming soon. Bye, guys.